And welcome back everybody to the Eagle's Nest. Sky Marshall here, bringing you, well, I guess a film. It's pretty good. Haven't done one in 9 months. Been a while, been busy. I am going to showcase something here in a very simple, quick video setup. I've been wanting to do this for about 3 years and have not had the time. But tonight is different, and we're going to do a very limited unboxing of War Room, Larry Harris's, I guess you could say, sequel to Axis and Allies, and some argue a really, really good game. I wouldn't know, I've never played it, but I've heard a lot of people do love it, and it's a very cool concept. So we should dive right in there, shall we? And this is what we're going to do. We're just going to do a brief overview here. This is a 4 by 4 foot map, more or less. You can see it's in my War Room here. I got some other concepts set up here just for fun. But we're using half of the war table here, which is cool in its own right. And we have a very circular map, a globe map. And take away our box here to unveil the rest of the map. We have obviously territories of all the nations involved in the World War II. The Italians, Germans, Russians, Chinese, Japanese, Americans, British, you name it. It's all there. Now, I believe there is up to 6 or 7 factions in this game, for obvious reasons, because that was the amount of belligerents and co-belligerents in the Second World War. And you can see there's a few different interesting icons up here. You have morale, you have supply lines, economic collapse, distress, labor, and civil unrest, which makes sense. As the war gets worse, you suffer more of those unfortunate problems, right? So cool in that note as well. And different concept, rather than having men in pieces in this game, what you have is, well, stackable plates, if you want to call them, or tokens, and they interlock, but they will basically describe who and where and what. This would be the 114th Infantry Division, if it were, or the 1st Carrier Division, or the 11th Airborne, or Air Force Division. In so many different ways, that's basically what it is. And then you move those pieces around the map. You actually get staves, those little devices you can push, just like in a real war room, which is kind of cool, as well as a whole bunch of other things that we'll dive into. So, without further ado, I'm going to set this up right here and try to do an unboxing. And I just got rid of the plastic, but this is the first time I have ever going to be opening this. And I actually stopped myself and I said, let's film something. We haven't filmed something in a while, so that's what we're going to do. And voila! Check that out. Obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, because once again, I've never played this game, but we got medals down here below, and then obviously we got our pieces. We got battleship units, carrier, cruiser, submarines, and then obviously we got a bomber force, fighter force, armored force, artillery, and infantry. So 3 items of the square orientation, 2 of the circle, and obviously 4 of the hexagonal. And those are obviously naval, air force, and land divisions. So I like the geometry in that. That is very cool. And then you have your stress icons up here. As the war progresses, they can get worse and worse and worse for certain nations. You see Japan is at 7, understandable. Italy at 4, I'm assuming that's where they start at, but very cool, like I say, just very cool in general. And this border, well, that particular board is basically what you would call your morale board. Over here we have, I would almost assume, basically our battle board or our command board in some ways, and it just shows you the ratios here. Once again, I have not even dived into the instructions of this. It's a very limited setup. I know that people have played this before. This is very cool, and this is actually probably one of the coolest parts of the game. If you flip it over, you obviously will have the other part of your naval warfare, and once again, really cool. Damage icons over here, bomber fighters, Battleship Defense Forces. But yeah, I'm not going to speak too much more if I do not know exactly what it is. And then of course we have, same thing, obviously, for the other player or the other battle participant. Here we have a map, and I'm just going to put this over here. I have actually got the first edition map, and I like this better. No interlocking pieces. And I won't take this apart, but if you notice here, it's almost just as good in some ways because you can break it apart, and where the lines are where a lot of the connections are, so you don't necessarily notice it. And we can actually open that up at a later point and see how well, or in contrast, how good or not it looks in comparison. Right here we have this particular unit. Now this is obviously the centerpiece. It's the same as we see up here, obviously slightly a little bit different, in the simple fact that it's a bit smaller than that actual one, but it ties in to that center part of the map. But same thing. Here we have, I believe these are called order cards, and I could be wrong. You set up where and how you're going to do it. You write up where and how and what units and how many, what you're going to build, and you're committed to that turn, which is also really cool and pretty neat. Obviously you have Axis here, allies here, and then on the other side you have your ships as well. So very cool. And we have last of the cards for the most part is we have our references. So phase sequence, combat sequences, and this goes step by step. Obviously economy, morale, retrofit, movement operations, strategic planning, and our combats here. Now if we flip this over here, we have a mini map here. Now I would only assume this is good for strategic planning. Obviously each and everyone can reference it, not looking at the whole map, and possibly plan out where and what you're going to do. Very cool, actually. I like that. I didn't even know that was part of that. So once again, and if I'm wrong, you are free to message it in the comments. These are your territory cards, if I remember correctly. All the territories you get, you can stack them up here with the amount of resources you get. That's really cool. And obviously you can see the different nations behind here. Germany, Japan, and so on and so forth. Now, remove some styrofoam out of here. And I'm going to assume, or I'm going to predict, that we have some things, possibly in bags, maybe? No, actually not. Ooh, I like that even better. We actually have boxes of our pieces, which is great to see. Take anything that I don't want necessarily in that game. Moving forward, we're going to take out all our box pieces. Now these are cards, the Guyanas, territory cards, very likely, that you obviously need to use. And then our last box out of here is what exactly? There's our pieces. Lovely, isn't it? Obviously, airplanes, we got bombers, you got fighters, we got our ships, got cruisers, submarines, battleships, and aircraft carriers. Very cool. And then last but not least, our ground forces, artillery, tanks, and men. Neutral parts or neutral navies potentially. So yes, very cool. And double-sided pieces, movement markers. Open up this little bag right here. These, I believe, and once again you can order these, are to write down your orders on these playable cards. Every movement, every phase, and then obviously you'd replenish them once you're done with them. So Love that aspect. Let's just open up one of these. We won't go through all of them. Oh, there you go. Look at that. That's actually really cool. And much like Crib, dedicated to the nation there. So you obviously put pins down here, I believe, to mark whatever you have. And I don't know where those pins are. Isn't this fun, exploring things together? But one thing you noticed here, though, is these are obviously for your nations, right? And you put down your nation labels. And they should be somewhere in these boxes. And hopefully we'll find them as well. This is here our dice. Very cool. And I believe there is a dice tray mechanism I have in my other kit that you put in there, or you can roll these. And basically, you got the blue, or the purple, the yellows, the greens, the reds for all these dice. And that reflects more than likely your hits. And we can put down our little tabs for territories that we've conquered. In here is tokens, supplies, civilian goods, 1 unit, bombs, cities, city and bomb marker. Here's our cribbage pins that obviously go in here, and you can mark that. I don't know if that's territories or what. Obviously black pins. And we have this as well. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. All right, so that looks like it. And the only thing I don't think I have here are stickers. Now they could come with it, or they could be in this beautiful little black box. And that's exactly what it is, guys. In here is all our nation stickers. So obviously, if we want to deck out, a particular force for circles, well, you can have the 18th Air Force and pop that on there, guys. So that's really cool. That is really cool. So that's the fun part. I'll probably get into this. Maybe start setting things up. Might pause the video and show you guys the difference once we get into part 2. So right now we'll start part 1, or end part 1, guys, and we'll see you in part 2. And welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of this unboxing. Now that we've actually unboxed everything, I've done the full setup of the war room in my war room. And it's a very aesthetically pleasing. Just my initial, first thoughts. So much, in fact, that, I could see why a lot of people, like the Indiscriminate Gamer and others, call this the most funnest and greatest game they've ever played. And I can definitely see it. And it's a really cool concept. Really cool concept. Have I played this game before? No. Will I play it in the future? Absolutely. When? That is the question. Just like anything, as a young father, I have no time on my hands. So, and things like the Sky Marshal Cup and other things I'm doing. But eventually, with the fates aligning, I'm sure that will be the case. But basically, to conclude this review, is we're just going to go over basically the visual setup. And the visual setup basically is what you see right here. The setup's relatively easy and simple. The reason why I say that is because if you pull something up like this here in Greater Germany and you look at it, you see it already shows you on this chip where everything goes. Looks like they got 2 armors, 2 artillery, and 3 infantry. And this is the greatest thing I think I love about this game, without even playing it, is this concept of a stackable chip system. If you're playing this Global War 36 or a traditional game, usually you'll have chips and you're stacking your units, your infantry, your airplanes, whatever on it, and you want to move it, stuff can fall over. This, look how simple that was, right? You want to take it apart, you can. It's that simple, that easy. You want to split half your forces, you want to move stuff around, You can do that, put on a new task force marker. That is probably the single greatest thing I love about this. And I know it's a simple part, but it truly is game changing. Pardon the pun. But anyways, there's obviously more to this game. Now I've got a mixture of first edition stuff and second edition stuff. This, I believe, was the first edition rollout map, and I like that because there's no seams. We've set up the second edition map over here for fun, just to show you. And it interlocks pretty good, and obviously a bit of gameplay and a bit of augmentation. And it actually works quite well. You can see the difference depending on what you want to use for your map. I'm still partial to this, I think, even though there are some downsides here. You see these little bumpy bumps there, which, you know, that's part of the game, obviously, or part of the map. You can obviously try to eliminate them, but that's just one of the downfalls. But unless you actually have an actual rollout map, you're probably going to be able to avoid this, but this fabric is quite nice. The staves are really cool, really awesome. I mean, they're a bit much in some cases, but it makes you feel like you actually are in the war room itself. You want to move stuff back, realign them, you can do that. I just think this is so cool. So I obviously ordered a box of those staves for this game. And like I say, I've had this in a box for so long, I've never opened it up. I'm not going to go into the rules. I'm not going to go into all the details. There are better videos online that do that and do a better job, frankly. But you can see, and I'm going to briefly go over what you get in the box. You basically have your setup, your territories. You got two of these. One gives you the phase sequence, and this one right here gives you the combat sequence. So you got these two options here, and it goes through basically reference cards, right? Here's your battle board right here. Obviously, you have your Air Force, Army, ground units all on one battle board here. Here you have your units morale board, and of course your medals, your victory, all that stuff. The cool thing about this game is it's a stress induced game. So if you end up losing, you're going to get more stress. If you end up winning, you're obviously going to get less stress, and that actually is reflective on how your nation operates, which I love. And I love the whole medal system too. That's just so cool. But once again, very simple units too, right? You got 3 ground units, you got 2 air units, you got 4 naval units. Simple, easy. You could always have more in other games and more complicated, but in this case, it works quite well. You obviously get your second edition War Room rules book. It's very nice, very well done, beautiful literature, well read. Now over here, once again, I want to show you this too. You got 2 battle boards, not just one, but as you can see, I have a very large war room here, but I got everything around here because there's a lot of components to this game. But you can obviously see here on this side, the transverse side, the flip side, where you actually have your naval battles you can do, as well as air with that ground and air, naval and air. I also set up this other map just to show you the difference. I also put some other fun things here because you can have a lot of fun with this war room here. These are obviously the 1953 flying saucers from Mars, but just, yeah, lots of fun you can have with just even this map itself. And you can see the level of vibrancy. This, I think, is a little more vibrant than the second edition one too as well. Your turn order here, you get to bid for your turn order, I believe. So you can obviously choose if you want to be first or second, which obviously makes sense too as well, right? And then of course it goes through your stress level marker. Just really cool, really cool. Now this game doesn't start in 1936, 1939. It starts later on, well into the 40s, because you can see Britain has taken up all of the Somalian gains, or not Somalian gains, Italian gains in Somalia and East Africa. And obviously now the war is stabilized a bit more. You have the Germans that are further into Russia. You have a Japanese empire that is truly a Japanese empire, right? But just once again, just looking at how cool this is. You have a carrier task force. You know why? Because you got a green chip there, and that's your carrier. You have another one right here. You got another one over here in the Indian Ocean, right? So you can instantly see, sitting right here, not looking in depth. Oh, there's a carrier in that fleet. Oh, there's 2 fighters and a bomber in Japan. And you can instantly see what's going on. That's what's cool about that. The reds are battleships. You know, the round red tokens are bombers. Just super cool on that concept alone, and super easy to move, and your chips aren't going to fall, right? So over here I have set up basically your commands or your orders board. There's lots of extras you can get in this game. This is obviously the whiteboard version, and this is the pencil version. You tear it off when you're doing a game. You can order more of these. Here's your organizers. Here's your resource markers here. And obviously, you know, you track your oil, iron, other rare resources. China doesn't do that. They don't get to retain oil. That's one of the exceptions in this game. But all the other nations do. They require it very much as an important part to their game. You got your markers, which is nice. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the cardboard cutouts, but once again, it's all in perspective of what you get for value. You have your assembly instructions. You had to put all your stickers on these units, which is what we did. And once again, we have our battle boards here. We have our really cool dice shakers. You put your dice in here, you shake them up, you're good to go. You got your dice in the bag there. D12 dice, or no, maybe they're not D12, sorry. But they're color-coded basically, blue, green, red. Did you get a hit? Did you not, right? So, very cool. And then obviously here's your extra pieces here. These are obviously all your territory cards. Now I have them all in the embattled state, which is what that little red and white beam up there is. Over here, this is when you own it. So right now, every other state is embattled except for Moscow. That's how you read it, basically. But once again, very cool. I like how it's organized. You have all your territory cards here. You know what you have. You can add up everything. You got your, well, I believe these are money tokens and goods. Obviously, bombed and factory locations, embattled tokens, disrupted convoy lines, all that stuff, right? So once again, so cool, this game. And there's just a lot to it. But obviously someday, maybe General Hand Grenade, maybe Hilltop Pillbox, maybe the lot of us will play a game like this. But you really need to play it in person, because that's just the way it is with War Room. It's hard to do any YouTube wars without being in person. But I just wanted to share this little unboxing with you in the War Room. I haven't been doing a video in a long time because I've been so busy with other businesses. But I just wanted to share this with you. This beautiful, wonderful game done by the great and awesome Larry Harris. Definitely not the late, hopefully not, for much time in the future here. But War Room definitely has touched down in the Eagle's Nest here where the Sky Marshal dwells. Okay, guys, take care. Hopefully you enjoyed this brief little video just to say I'm back. More videos are going to come, but probably for the actual Sky Marshal Cup, which will be coming here in mid to late July, right around my birthday. So guys, take care, and we'll see you guys soon.